So, hello again, future CPA. So, we are back again to another tutorial session, which is the continuation of our last meeting known last week. So, I hope you're all doing good, and let's not waste our time and let's start our discussion. So, meron pang itutuloy si Chanel Bautista na last slide.
So, ito yung summary of adjusting entries. Okay? Pagdating sa prepaid expense, doon sa deferred expense, di ba meron tayo doong dalawang method, which is yung asset method at saka yung expense method. Sa asset method, ang initial entry natin dyan is debit asset, di ba? Tapos credit tayo ng cash kasi nagbayad tayo. Kadalasan ang dinedebit natin sa asset method is prepaid, diba? So kapag hindi tayo nag-adjust at the end of accounting period, ang mangyayari dyan, yung asset natin sa balance sheet is mag-overstate yan. Siyempre, hindi natin nabawasan eh. Kasi sa asset method, ang hinahanap natin is yung expired portion. Kaya dapat bawasan natin yung ating asset na dinebit doon sa ating initial entry. So kapag at the end of the period, hindi tayo nag-adjust, ang mangyayari sa balance sheet account natin at saka sa income statement account is mag-overstate po yung asset kasi hindi siya nabawasan. And understate naman po ang ating income statement, yung expenses, kasi hindi tayo nag-recognize ng expense. Okay? Ang adjusting entries natin para makorek yan is debit expense account to recognize the expense and to recognize the expired portion, and then credit tayo ng prepaid expense para bawasan yung ating asset, yung dinebit natin dun sa initial entry natin. Okay? Para hindi na siya mag-overstate. And hindi naman mag-understate yung expenses natin sa income statement. Pagdating naman sa expense method, ang initial entry natin dyan is debit expense, tapos credit cash. So dito sa expense method, ang hinahanap natin dyan is yung unexpired portion. Kasi nag-recognize na tayo ng expense, di ba? Sabi ko nga nung nakaraan, we will just recognize expense pag pag na-incur na natin, nagamit na natin, or pag nag-expired na siya. Eh kaso nga lang sa expense method, initial entry natin, nag-record na tayo agad ng expense, which is hindi tama kasi hindi pa naman natin nagagamit yung expense. Kaya, pagdating sa adjusting entries, kailangan natin bawasan yung expense natin. Okay? Kailangan nating hanapin yung unexpired portion para ibawas doon sa nirecognize nating expense. Pero kapag hindi ka nag-adjust, ang mangyayari dyan, dito sa balance sheet account, yung asset is mag-understate siya. Bakit siya nag-understate? Kasi hindi tayo nag-recognize ng prepaid prepaid expense. Hindi tayo nag-recognize, which is asset. Okay? Tapos, sa income statement naman, mag-overstate siya. Kasi, nag-recognize tayo ng expense, pero hindi pa natin siya binabawasan. Kaya dapat mag-a-adjust tayo. So, para ma-correct yung balance nila, kailangan nating mag-debit ng prepaid expense and credit expense. Kaya kung papansinin nyo dito, magkabaliktad lang silang dalawa. Okay? So pagdating naman sa depreciation, ang pinaka main priority natin kasi sa depreciation is bawasan natin yung acquisition cost, yung halaga ng property and equipment natin eh. For example, ang equipment natin nagkakahalaga ng 100,000. Eh, sa isang buong taon nagamit natin yun, eh di nag-depreciate siya. So, kailangan natin bawasan yung value niya, yung cost niya. So, para mabawasan natin yon, kailangan nating mag-adjust. Pero paano kung hindi tayo nag-adjust? Ang mangyayari po dyan, pagdating sa balance sheet account natin, mag-overstate po yung asset. Siyempre, hindi natin siya binawasan eh. Kaya nag-overstate yung asset. Pagdating naman sa sa income statement, mag-understate yung expenses kasi hindi tayo nag-recognize ng expense. Okay? So, dapat mag-a-adjust tayo. So, ang adjusting entries niyan is debit expenses and credit contra asset. So, ano nga ba yung contra asset na yan? Yung contra asset po is asset po siya. Kaso nga lang, nag-i-increase siya sa credit at nagdi-decrease siya sa debit. Kaya siya tinawag na contra asset. Okay? So, para mabawasan natin yung cost ng PPE, ang gagamitin nating account doon is yung contra asset account, which is yung accumulated depreciation. Okay? Tapos, i-debit natin depreciation expense para doon sa ating income statement account. Okay? Tapos, pagdating natin sa deferred revenue, meron tayong dalawang method dyan ulit, which is the liability method at saka income method. Yung liability method natin, ang nakadebit dyan sa initial journal entry natin, syempre liability account, which is unearned revenue. Kapag ganyan ang nangyari, ibig sabihin nun is, wait lang. Balik to data yung pa, wait lang ha. Ay, tama. Ay, wait lang. Mali yung nasabi ko. So, dito sa deferred revenue, may dalawang method dyan, which is liability method at saka income method. Sa liability method, ang tatandaan nyo, liability method po ang isang problem kapag sa initial journal entry nila, ang naka-credit is liability, which is the unearned revenue. So kapag hindi tayo nag-adjust, okay, hindi tayo nag-adjust at the end of accounting period, ang mangyayari dyan, sa balance sheet account natin, mag-overstate po yung ating liabilities and mag-understate naman po yung income. Kasi hindi tayo nag-recognize ng income kahit na na-rendered na natin yung service or na-deliver na natin yung goods. Kaya dapat tayo ay mag-adjust at the end of accounting period. So, ang adjusting entries to correct the balance of liability and income is debit unearned revenue para bawasan natin yung na-overstate na liabilities. Tapos, mag-credit naman tayo ng revenues para madagdagan natin yung income na nag-understate because revenue increase in credit side. Okay? So, pagdating naman natin sa income method, syempre, ang naka-credit dyan is income, which is revenue sa ating initial journal entry. At pag hindi tayo nag-recognize, pag hindi tayo nag-adjust at the end of accounting period, ang mangyayari po sa ating balance sheet account, mag-understate po yung ating liabilities. Kasi, hindi tayo nag-recognize ng liability. At mag-overstate naman ang ating income. Kasi nag-recognize na tayo ng ating income nang hindi pa naman natin nare-render yung service. Okay? Tandaan ninyo na sa income method, hindi pa tayo nakaka-render ng service, pero nag-recognize na agad tayo sa ating initial journal entry ng revenue account. Kaya ang labas nun, tayo ay nag-rendered na ng service kahit hindi pa naman. Kaya kapag hindi tayo nag-adjust, ang mangyayari, nag-o-overstate yung income statement, ay yung income natin. to correct the balance of liability and income, kailangan natin mag-adjust. So magde-debit tayo ng revenue para bawasan natin yung income natin. Okay? Because revenue decrease on debit side and increase on the credit side. Tapos, para mag-balance at makorek yung balance ng liabilities na nag-understate, kailangan po natin mag-credit ng liability account because liability increase on credit side. Okay? Pagdating sa accrued expenses and accrued revenues, si Ate Kas na yung bahala dyan. Madidiscuss naman na niya yan doon sa topic niya, doon sa part niya, sa pinakahuling part niya. Okay? So, yan lang.
So, hello everyone. I am Cassandra GARCIA. And now we will proceed to adjusting entries relating to accruals. Accrual is the recognition of an expense already incurred but not yet paid and a revenue earned but uncollected. So let's go back to the concept of accrual basis of accounting. So when you say accrual basis of accounting, it states that expenses should be recorded even though hindi pa tayo nagbabayad ng expense. And revenues of a company should be recorded even though hindi pa natin nare-receive yung bayad ng customer. So the proper timing of the recording of revenues and expenses depending on the time period it relates to should be followed. So kahit hindi pa tayo nagbabayad ng expenses, kailangan na natin i-record. So nagkakaroon tayo dyan ng payable. And even though hindi pa natin nare-receive yung bayad from customer, kailangan na natin ding itong i-record yung revenue para proper yung recording ng revenue and expenses on the time period or the time frame it relates to, depending sa preparation ng FS kung kailan. So adjustments for accruals, accrued expense. Ang accrued expense consider as the incurs expense before paying them. Salaries, interest, utilities, and taxes are examples that are incurred before payment is made. So anong ibig sabihin natin sa incurred? Incurred means ito yung mga nagamit na. So for example, sa salaries. So kapag may mga employee si business entity na nag-work, so within those days na nag-work siya, na-incur niya na yung salaries niya. So pag sa interest naman, sa accrued expense, kapag ang entity ay may utang, yung utang ay may interest, di ba? So kapag as time goes by, na-incur na ni entity yung interest. Sa utilities naman, so di ba bago bayadan ni entity yung kanyang kuryente, communication, internet, at tubig, na-incur na ni entity yung mga utilities. Yung electricity, araw-araw ginagamit ni entity, meaning na-incur niya na yung electricity expense bago pa bayaran. Just like the water and internet. Bago pa dumating yung bill is ginagamit na ni entity yung kuryente and water ng provider. Na-incur niya na yung expense. Next is sa taxes. So kapag may profit ang entity, na-incur niya na yung taxes dahil ang taxes ay nakabase sa profit. So pag may tax subject na kayo, mas maintindihan nyo mabuti kasi yung kung magkano yung kinikita mo, doon nakabase yung tax na ipapatong sa'yo. So yan yung mga examples ng expenses na na-incurred or nagamit na before mabayadan. So adjusting journal entry natin to record accrued expense is debit expense and credit payable. So let's go with accrued salaries. These entities pay their employees at regular intervals. It can be weekly, semi-monthly, or monthly. So Yung mga entities is nagpapasweldo. Pwedeng every week, every Friday, pwedeng semi-monthly, pwedeng kada 15 ng month, pwedeng 30th ng month, pwede din kada 5th day and 20th day ng month. Semi-monthly, ibig sabihin, 2 beses sumisweldo or nagpapasweldo ang entity kada isang buwan. Pwede ding monthly. May mga entity na nagpapasweldo ng 1 beses sa isang buwan. Accrued interest. So interest is a charge for the use of money over time. Interest expense is matched to a particular period during which benefit the use of borrowed money is received. The interest is a fixed obligation and accrues regardless of the results of the entity's operation. So parang nangutang ka ng 5,000, then may interest siya. So ang total, so kapag ina-analyze mo yung ganong transaction, yung 6,000 is composed of 5,000, which is the original amount borrowed, and 1,000 interest, which is the charge for the use of money over time. So regardless ng status ng entity, whether it is a loss or profit, ang nakalagay sa income statement, we still recognize the interest expense. Kasi nga, sabi dito, the interest is a fixed obligation. It is required to record interest. So next is accrued utilities. Ito yung mga na-use na utilities for your business but haven't yet billed. So ito yung examples ko ng mga electricity, ganon. So para mas maintindihan nyo, let's have some examples. So sa accrued salaries. So yun, drivers. So sa accrued salaries, let's say, isa kang accountant sa isang company or entity and may employee kayo na driver. Binabayaran niyo yung driver 500 per day. Ito yung kanyang rate per day, 500. So yung work niya ng 1st to 15th day of the current month is babayadan mo sa 20th day ng current month. Yung work niya ng 16th to 31st day of the month is babayaran mo ng 5th day of the next month. So ang work week niya is Monday to Friday. Wala siyang Saturdays and Sundays. So ito, yung November 1 to November 15 is sabi natin babayaran natin siya ng 20th day ng month na yon, which is November 20. Yung November 16 to November 30, babayaran natin siya sa December 5. December 1 to December 15 sa December 20, and December 16 to December 31 is sa January 5. So at this point, sa November 20, dito natin i-record yung salary ng driver. So anong entry to record? Ang initial entry to record na yung salary nung na-receive drive. So November 20, 2019, we have salaries expense and cash of 5,500. Why 5,500? Kasi pag bibilangin mo yung days from November 1 to November 15, excluding Saturdays and Sundays, meron tayong 11 days. So 500, which is the per day or yung rate niya per day times 11 days, we have 5,500. So ano namang record natin sa December 5, 2019? Salaries expense and cash, which is 5,000. Kasi November 16 to November 30, meron tayong 5 days doon, excluding yung Saturdays and Sundays. Kaya 500 times 10 days, we have 5,000. Next naman is yung record natin sa December 5. Yung salaries ng driver from Ay, so na. November 20, ay December 20 na. So yung salaries ng December 1 to December 15 is babayaran sa December 20, which is in payday. So ilan ang working days ng December 1 to 15? Meron tayong 10 working days. So ganun din, 500 times 10 days, which is 5,000 na. Salaries, expense, and cash of 5,000. Yung trabaho naman niya ng December 16 to 31, pertaining siya sa period ng 2019 pero ni-record siya ng 2020 kasi 'di ba sabi natin yung 16 to 31 is babayadan ng 5th day ng next month. So parang i-record ay maano siya sa January 5, 2020. So ngayon dyan na papasok yung tinatawag nating adjusting entry kasi yung kasi yung ni-record mo ng 2020 is nagper-pertain siya sa December 2019. Pero ni-record mo siya ng 2020. So ang adjusting entry to record that sa December 31, 2019 is salaries expense and salaries payable. Kasi di ba ang sabi natin ang entry to record accrued expense, debit expense and debit payable. Kasi payable kasi ito yung hindi pa natin nababayadan. So 6,000 kasi December 6 ay ano yun? Yung 6,000. 12 days siya pag i-count mo from December 16 to December 31. We have 12 days, 12 working days, kaya 500 times 12 working days, we have 6,000. Yung expense ng 2019 is dapat i-record sa 2019. So nagkaroon tayo ng adjusting entry sa December 31, 2019 for the salaries expense ng period December 16 to December 31 na hindi dapat i-record yung salaries sa January kasi nagpo-pertain yung sa 2019 hindi sa 2020. So next example is accrued interest. On May 2, 2019, Guevara borrowed 210,000 from Metrobank. She issued a promissory note that carried a 20% interest per annum. Both the interest and principal will be payable in 1 year. So yung 210,000 is kailangang bayadan within a year from the date kung kailan siya na-receive with 20% interest per annum, which ay per annum, ibig sabihin, ito yung on a year basis or ito yung annual interest niya. So, nung May 2, kang hiniram na 200,000 from Metrobank. Kaya pag i-record ni Guevara yung transaction nung May 2, 2019, it is debit, cash, and credit. Ito yung initial journal entry niya. Debit, cash, and credit notes payable, which is 210,000. Notes payable kasi ito yung, since ito ay utang, liability account ang credit. And sabi sa problem, she issued promissory note. So ang credit to record yung pag-uutang ng 210,000 from Metrobank is notes payable since supported siya ng promissory note. So sa POV ni Guevara, ito yung record, initial journal entry to record nung transaction na nung May 2, 2019. So yun, let's first analyze yung transaction. Di ba yung nangyari is May 2, 2019. Sabi sa problem is both the interest and principal will be payable in 1 year. So magbilang tayo ng 1 year from May 2, 2019 to 2020. So ang due date ng utang niya is May 1, 2020. Since meron siyang interest, pwede na nating makompute yung interest na ibabayad niya kay Metrobank. So ang formula is interest is equal to principal, which is yung amount ng loan niya, yung amount borrowed, times rate, times time. So 210,000 times 20% times 1 year, we have 42,000 interest niya sa 1 year. So ang amount payable niya in 1 year is 210,000 plus 42,000, which is the interest. We have 252,000. Ito yung total amount na ibabayad ni Guevara pagdating ng due date. So, meaning, pagdating ng due date, kailangan niya magbayad kay Guevara ng total na 252,000. So, mapapansin natin, dalawang accounting periods ang tinamaan ng loan ni Guevara, 2019 and 2020. Nag-benefit yung loan ng 2019 from May 2019 to December 2019, which is year, and nung 2020 naman, nag-benefit yung ng January to May, which is yung year ng due date niya. So may 8 months sa 2019 and meron din tayong 4 months sa 2020. So, ano ang ating adjusting entry to record that transaction? So, adjusting entry noong December 31, 2019, we have interest expense of 28,000 and interest payable na 28,000. So, bakit hindi 42,000 ang na-record natin na as figure ng adjusting entry ng 2019? Kasi yung 42,000 is nag-spread siya ng 2019 to 2020. So, hindi mo siya pwedeng i-record ng buo as 42,000, 28,000. So, interest expense and interest payable, since hindi pa nababayadan ni Guevara yung utang niya, kaya interest payable 28,000. So sa POV ni Guevara, which is the borrower, ang interest sa POV ni borrower is an expense. Ito pa yung computation. 210,000 times 20% times 8/12. Since sabi natin kanina, meron tayong 8 months na na-consume noong 2019. May to December, meron tayong 8 months. So it is equal to 28,000. So sa POV naman ni Metrobank, ang interest is interest income. Metrobank, siya yung lender, siya yung nagpautang. So parang siya, accrued revenue. Topic natin later. So next is example sa accrued utilities. For the month of December 2019, ABC Company had used a total of 6,200 worth of electric and water. The company received the bill on January 5, 2020. So for the month of December, ABC Company, ang nagamit nilang tubig at kuryente is 6,200. Pero makaka-receive sila ng bill sa January 5. Since this is December 31, 2019, calendar year, kunwari calendar, pag walang sinabi, it is considered calendar year. So, ang ending na is December 31, 2019. We will record the utilities expense 6,200 and credit utilities payable sa December 31, 2019. Utilities, why utilities? Kasi electric and water is considered na utilities. Tapos para madagdagan ng expenses natin, dinedebit siya, and since di pa bayad, credit to payable. So let's now move on to accrued revenue. So accrued revenue, revenue that has been earned but not yet collected in cash. So in many cases, a company will perform half of a job during one period and the other half during the next period, but will not get paid until the job is complete. So, ang accrued revenue, asset, ito yung opposite ng unearned revenue. Why nasabi natin opposite? Kasi, yung, di ba yung unearned revenue, mas kilala natin as deferred, mga deferred revenue, ito yung na-collect na pero hindi pa na-earn. Unlike sa accrued revenue, ito na yung na-earn na but uncollected. Ibig sabihin, parang nabigay na niya yung products or nakarender na siya ng services pero hindi pa nababayadan. So ang adjusting journal entry is debit receivable and credit revenue. So yung kanina yung example natin sa accrued expense, 'di ba? Yung kay Metrobank, ganito yung adjusting journal entry niya. Kasi sa POV ni Metrobank 'yon, hindi sa POV nung nag-borrow, which is si Guevara. So let's have an example para mas maintindihan niyo. Accrued revenues. So nung December 1, 2019, JJ Garden rendered landscaping service to a customer for a monthly fee of 10,000. It was agreed that the payment will be collected on the 5th of the following month. So nung December 1, 2019, naglaro siya sa isang customer worth 10,000. Pero sabi dito is makokollect niya yung payment sa 5th following month. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa siya nababayaran. And sa susunod buwan niya pa makokollect yung payment. So, ano ang ating adjusting journal entry? We have December 31, 2019, accounts receivable 10,000 and credit landscaping revenue. Since ang sabi natin, to record accrued revenues, we have debit receivable and credit revenue. And di natin siya pwedeng i-record noong January 5 kasi magpo-pertain na siya sa next year na. Hindi na siya sa 2019. So kaya tayo gumagawa ng adjusting journal entry para may record natin yung transaction ng 2019 sa year niya mismo. So in-record natin siya noong December 31, 2019. So next example. So noong December 1, 2019, Josie Company lent 1 million at 8% annual interest. At the end of the year, no entry was entered on the journal for interest income. So ito yung para example natin sa accrued expense. Pag titignan mo, pag sa POV ni Metrobank, parang ganun siya. So, nagpautang ng 1 million si Josie na merong 8% annual interest. So, isang buwan lang ang lumipas, December 1 to December 31. So, paano computation, and paano adjusting and journal entry to record that transaction. So, noong December 31, 2019, we have interest receivable of 6,666.67, interest receivable and credit interest income, which is 6,666.67. Paano natin na-compute? 1 million, which is yung pinautang niya, times 8% na annual interest, times 1/12, since December 1 to December 31 lang ang na-consume natin sa year na yon. So, 1 month over 12 months. Kaya nag-come up tayo sa amount na 6,666.67. So, next is adjustment for accruals and collectible accounts. So, ito yung mga, ito basahin mo natin. An allowance for doubtful accounts is considered a contra asset because it reduces the amount of an asset. In this case, the accounts receivable. Di ba yung kaninang contra asset natin sa deferral is, ano yan? An allowance, yung minaminus natin sa asset din. So dito is allowance for doubtful accounts ang contra asset natin because it reduces the amount of an asset. In this case, the accounts receivable. The allowance, sometimes called a bad debt reserve, represents management's estimate of the amount of accounts receivable that will not be paid by customers. If actual experience differs, then management adjusts its estimation methodology to bring the reserve more into alignment with actual results. So ano tong doubtful accounts or uncollectible accounts? Ito yung expense dun sa utang na kumpanya na na-estimate na natin na hindi mababayadan. So, contra asset siya sa accounts receivable. It represents the estimates uncollectible amount for credit sales or the revenue. So, adjusting journal entry to record adjustment for accruals and collectible accounts is debit uncollectible expense and credit allowance for uncollectible accounts. So examples, doubtful accounts or bad debt expense. Sansan Company estimates 2,000 of its credit revenue for the year 2019 will not be collected. So, si Sansan Company na estimate niya na 2,000 sa kautang noong 2019 is or hindi na mako-collect. So, how will we record that? Adjusting and we have uncollected accounts expense, debit 2,000 and credit allowance for uncollected accounts 2,000 kasi yung estimate niya na hindi na mako-collect for the year 2019. Ito yung kanyang mga pautang na estimate niya na hindi na mako-collect. So next example, we have Aloha Company estimates that 5% of its credit revenue for year 2019 will not be collected. The receivables of the company on that year is 132,000. So si Aloha Company, meron siyang pautang na 132,000. Na-estimate niya na 5% doon sa pautang niya noong 2019 is di niya na mako-collect. So anong adjusting entry to record that one? So December 31, 2019, we have debit uncollectible accounts expense and credit allowance for uncollectible accounts 6,600. Paano tayo nag-come up sa 6,600? computation is 132,000 times 5%. So, meron tayong 6,600. So, yan. Ano yung effects of omitting adjustments? When we say effects on the financial statements will be if adjusting entries are omitted. So, what do we mean by omitted? Ito yung ibig sabihin natin dito is nakalimutan nating i-record, omitted. So, type of adjusting entry. So, we have accrued expense. So, kapag nag-record tayo ng adjusting entry, anong nagagawa nito? Na-increase na yung expense and na-increase na yung liability. Since ang ating adjusting journal entry to record accrued expense is what? Debit expense and credit payable. So, ang effect na pag nakalimutan natin yung journal, mag-adjusting entry is ma-understate niya yung expense and ma-understate na din yung liabilities since nakalimutan mo mag-record. Ma-understate niya. Di ba nga kasi ang record natin is expense. So, sa financial statements naman, overstates niya yung total liabilities. Why ma-overstate na yung net income? Di ba ang ating formula natin para mag-come up sa net income is revenue. Revenue less expense or sales less expense is equal to net income. So, kapag di tayo nakapag-record ng expense, ibig sabihin, hindi sa sales natin. Kaya, ma-overstate yung net income natin. Ma-overstate and state report natin sa entity na less than ng amount na dapat. 'Di ba? Understate siya. Kapag overstate naman, ito yung amount na na-report natin sa FS na more than the amount revenues. Pag nag-record tayo ng adjust ang revenue and mag-increase ang asset natin. Why? Kasi 'di ba, ang entry natin to record the accrued revenue is debit, accounts receivable, and credit revenue. Accounts receivable, which is the asset, and revenue. So, paano pag nakalimutan natin mag-adjusting entry? So, mag-understate ang revenue and mag-understate ang asset natin. Kasi nga, nakalimutan natin i-increase. Kaya parang lower siya sa amount na dapat. Lower siya yung sa actual amount na kailangan na nasa FS. So, sa financial statement, anong kanyang effect? Mag-understate ang net income at mag-understate ang total assets. Mag-understate ang net income kasi meron siyang direct relationship sa revenue and net income, di ba? Tapos mag-understate din ang total assets since hindi ka nakapag-record ng receivables. So yun, mag-show tayo ng problems which is na-send ko na din ata sa inyo. Pero try nating sagutan. So yun, practice questions tayo. Which is siguro nabasa niyo naman na to. So problem 1. Number 1 is unpaid salaries, 40,000. Unpaid salaries, saan natin siya mako-consider? Diba sabi natin kanina, yung accrued expense, ito yung mga na-incur but not yet paid. So unpaid salaries is considered as accrued expense. 40,000. So ano yung natin dyan? Ano yung adjusting journal entry? Sige nga, kung alam nyo, pwede nyong i-type or pwede kayong mag-unmute kung ano yung adjusting journal entry nung number 1. Anyone from the first year students?
Ate,
Sige.
ano po, since accrued expense po siya, debit, uh, salaries expense, and unpaid pa, so may payable po, credit, salaries payable, amounting for
Yes, correct. So, saan natin mako-consider yung number 2, revenues earned but uncollected. So, number 2 is considered accrued revenue. So, anyone from the class na makapagsabi ng adjusting journal entry to record number 2? Anyone? Pag naiyak kayo, pwede nyo siyang i-chat sa chat natin dito sa Zoom. Yung sagot kung alam. Ayun. Sumagot si Kian, Ivan. Sabi niya, debit accounts receivable and credit revenue amounting to 100,000. So correct. So, yun, revenue, accounts receivable, debit, and credit service revenue of 100,000. So number 3, Chanel Bautista.
Okay. Number 3, sabi dito, then paid on November 1, 2018 for 6 months. 60,000 daw yon, which was debited to rent expense. So, ibig sabihin lang nito na ito ay deferred expense siya kasi nagbayad na pero hindi niya pa nai-incur yung expenses. So, anong entry natin dyan?
So yun, sumagot si Kian Ivan. Sabi niya, debit, prepaid rent, and credit rent expense amounting to 40,000.
Yes, tama po yun. 40,000 yung amount. Kasi, ang hinahanap natin ay yung unexpired portion. Malalaman natin yung isang problem kung isa siyang expense method or asset method pag sabi dito, sabi sa number 3 kasi, ang naka-debit daw dito is rent expense. Ang tinutukoy niya dyan is yung initial journal entry natin. So kapag naka-debit sa initial journal entry ay expense account, ibig sabihin lang po na yun ay expense method. Kaya ang hahanapin natin is yung unexpired portion o yung hindi pa nagagamit na portion dito sa problem, which is 40,000. Okay, correct po yun. So, number 4 na tayo. Okay. Yung rent expense, sabi mo dito, rent paid on November 30, 2018 for 12 months. 60,000 din, which was debited to prepaid rent. So anong journal ay ano ang adjusting entries natin for number 4?
So yun, nag-chat si Marivic and Guy. Debit, rent expense, and credit, prepaid rent daw po.
Okay, tama po yun. Yung amount, may sinabi bang amount?
Wala.
Kailangan.
Ayan, amounting to 5,000 daw.
Okay, very good. Tama yung mga sagot ninyo. 5,000 siya kasi isang buwan lang po yung nagamit dito. Okay? November 30 kasi yung nag-start. So, ibig sabihin, hindi na natin i-consider as 1 month yung November. So, mag-i-start tayong magbilang sa December. Sabi sa adjusting entries, nag-a-adjust tayo at the end of accounting period. So, ibig sabihin, isang buwan lang po ang nagamit natin. So, 60,000 multiplied by 1 month, divide 12 months. So, meron tayong 5,000 na may 5,000 tayo na expired portion o nagamit. So, kung mapapansin natin sa problem, ang nakadebit po ay prepaid rent, which is asset. So, ibig sabihin lang po na itong number 4 is an expense method. At ang hinahanap is yung expired portion. Okay? So, number 5 na.
So yun, number 5, receive a 60-day 10% note from customer on December 50,000. So saan natin siya as accrued revenue. So anong entry to record sa number 5? Debit, interest receivable, and credit interest income, sabi ni Marivic. So, tama. And the amount, ang amount nun is 417. Why 417? So, i-compute natin 50,000 times 10% times since December 1 to December 30, meron tayong 1 month. So, 1/12. So, we have 416.666667. So, ano na natin siya, ni-round off na kaya naging 417 ang amount. So, ang entry nan ulit is interest receivable and credit interest income 417. So, number 5, the company issued 180-day 8% promissory note on September 1, 2018, which amounted to 90,000. So, ganun din, ano natin siya, makukonsider na siya as accrued expense naman. So, anong entry to record that one? Interest expense and credit interest payable, sabi ni Ivan. So, correct. So, ang amount is 2,000 over 12. Why 4 over November? December, we have 4 months over 12 months. So 90 times 8% times 4 over 12, we have 2,400. So number 7, Chanel.
Okay, number 7 na. Itaas natin siya. Ayan. So number 7. Of the 10,000 office supplies purchased on June 1, 2018, only 1,600 is still on hand. Office supplies expense is debited at the time of purchase. Office supplies expense daw ang nakadebit. So anong adjusting entries natin for number 7? I-chat nyo na lang o kaya mag-unmute kayo. Unmute.
So, ang chat nila is office supplies, which is the debit, and office supplies expense credit amounting to 1,600.
Okay. Tama po yung sagot nila. Kasi, yung sa number 7, dahil nakadebit po sa kanilang initial journal entry ay expense account, ito po ay expense method. So, ang hinahanap po natin is yung unexpired portion, yung hindi pa nagagamit, which is 1,600. So, pagdating natin sa number 8, ganun pa rin ang problem, kaso nga lang, iba yung hinahanap dito. So, anong adjusting journal entry naman sa number 8?
Debit office, debit office supplies expense and credit office supplies.
Ilang amount yun eh?
8,400.
Tama. Okay, tama yung mga sagot ninyo. Kasi dito sa number 8, ang hinahanap naman dito is yung expired portion o yung nagamit na, which is 8,400. So pagdating sa number 9, receive 20,000 on December 1, 2018 for services to be performed after 1 week. 150,000 earned during the year, unearned service revenue is credited. Unearned service revenue is credited on December 1. So what is the adjusting journal entry for number 9?
Sabi is cash, debit, and credit unearned service revenue. Sabi niya.
Lang Sino pang may ibang sagot?
Ayun, sabi dito din, debit, USR, and credit for SR amounting to 150,000 daw. Unearned service revenue and service revenue amounting to 150,000.
150. So, sabi niya debit, unearned service revenue, tapos
Service revenue.
credit revenue expense
Service revenue.
for 150,000. Okay. So, ang tama yung sagot nila na debit unearned revenue. Tapos, credit naman is revenue expense. Kasi, sa ating initial journal entry, ang naka-debit dito ay ang naka-credit is unearned service revenue. So, ibig lang sabihin nun, ang dating niyan is that meron tayong utang sa ating customer na service. Kasi nagbayad na daw sila ng 20,000. Eh, pagdating sa sabi dito, after 1 week, nag-earn na tayo or na-render na daw natin yung service natin for 150,000. Wait lang ah. Ay, wait lang. May nasabi akong mali pala. Sorry. Sorry. Nabuwang na ako. Okay. Okay, so dito, so number 9, pagdating sa adjusting journal entry natin is unearned service revenue and credit service revenue. Okay? Kasi, itong number 9 is a liability method. Kasi ang naka-credit po is liability account, which is unearned service revenue. So, ibig lang sabihin nun, tayo po ay merong utang sa ating customer. Okay? May utang tayo sa customer na service. Sabi dito, after 1 week, na-earn na daw natin yung service or na-render na daw natin yung service na nagkakalaga ng 150,000. So, dapat tayong mag-debit ng unearned service revenue, which is the liability account, para bawasan natin yung utang natin. Kasi na-render na natin yung 150 eh. So, ibig lang sabihin nun, nabawasan yung utang natin sa ating customer. Tapos, tayo ay magre-recognize ng service revenue kasi na-render na po natin yung service. Di ba sabi ko sa inyo, we will just recognize or record revenue if na-earn na po natin or na-render na natin yung service o kaya naman na-deliver na natin yung goods. Okay? So, sa number 10, parehas lang naman ng problem, pero ang naka-credit dito ay service revenue naman. So ano ang adjusting journal entry natin dito?
So, sabi nila new.
Ano?
1,000.
Naglalag ka, te. Naglalag ka, te.
Debit,
Debit.
service revenue,
Okay.
and credit unearned service revenue na 150,000.
Okay. Okay. Tama po ang adjusting entries ninyo. Dahil ang ating problem number 10 is a revenue method. Ibig sabihin lang nun, ang kanyang initial journal entry ay debit cash and credit service revenue of 200,000. Dahil nag-credit na tayo sa ating initial journal entry ng service revenue, ibig sabihin nun na yung buong 200,000 daw is na-earn na daw or na-render na daw natin yung service, which is hindi naman siya totoo. Kaya naman ngayon, kailangan nating mag-adjust to correct the balance of service revenue. So, dahil ito ay revenue method, ang hahanapin nating portion is yung unearned portion or yung service na hindi pa daw natin nare-render. So, ang ating adjusting journal entry will be debit service revenue of 150,000 kasi yun yung unearned portion, and then credit tayo ng unearned service revenue na 150,000. Nag-debit tayo ng service revenue para bawasan natin yung credit natin sa ating initial journal entry na 200,000 at maipalabas natin yung correct balance ng service revenue na 50,000 lang. Kasi 200,000 less 150,000 is equals to 50,000, which is the earned portion. Yun lang yung na-render natin na service, 50,000 lang. At nag-credit naman tayo ng unearned service revenue na 150,000 sa ating adjusting journal entry para maipakita natin na itong 150,000 na to is hindi pa natin nare-render na service. Ang labas doon, meron pa daw tayong utang sa ating customer na 150,000 na service. Remember guys na we will just recognize revenue if it is already earned. O kaya naman, ibig sabihin, na-render na natin yung service or na-deliver na natin yung goods. Okay? So, that's all. Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu.
So, yun. Anong oras na? 100. Nabubuwang 11:16 na. May mga next problem pa tayo, pero feeling ko din natin maano today. So, yun. We have a quotation here. God has blessed you with the ability to succeed. You can succeed. Believe in yourself, and no one will believe in you unless you do. So, yun. Thank you, future CPAs, and thank you for participating din sa ating discussion. So, pag may hindi kayo naiintindihan or may hindi clear na na-discuss or hindi kayo naintindihan, feel free to chat lang sa amin kasi yun, baka sa kaba namin, sa kaba ko pala, hindi ko masyado na-explain kasi yung nangunguna yung kaba ko. So yun, i-chat na lang kami para ma-clear natin or ma-explain namin sa inyo. So yun, thank you again. And pwede na tayong mag-lunch kung wala na kayong questions. Bye, future CPAs, and see you on our next meeting.
Thank you din po. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Kain mabuti.
Bye-bye.
Bye.